If podcasts be the food of love, play on. I know that many of us are Shakespeare aficionados. I know
Oh,
that
yeah,
you're in a
totes.
podcast for movies, but today's movie is about Shakespeare. This is a podcast showcasing movies that are 30 years old. We go month by month. We've called it Interjections, the Undiscovered Decade. And like I said, this month we're covering Shakespeare. I'm Tristan.
I'm Petty Officer Cory.
Yeah.
Well, this is an army movie, not a navy movie. Go fuck yourself.
Hey, I can be any branch I want, pal.
Yeah,
So
sure. Sure.
This is getting real heated with Jimmy today.
every
Oh,
month
nah.
we pick a person to describe the plot of the movie that we're covering from 30 years earlier. Oh, look at that. What a surprise.
Wow.
You had the best
I
odds.
get to talk about one. Okay. So this month's movie, which is June of 1994, is Renaissance Man, directed by Penny Marshall. It stars Danny DeVito as Bill, a ad executive who is unceremoniously discarded from his job. And when he goes down to the office to look for the employment office to look for a new job, they set him up with an unconventional career. He has a little bit of teaching experience, so they use that to sign him up for a teaching position at an army base to teach some army misfits how to think.
Double D's.
Well, at least develop reading and comprehension skills.
Yeah.
Army
Gregory
intelligence.
Hines teaches the strength. Danny DeVito teaches the heart.
It'd been funnier if it was switched around.
You think so? You know who was supposed to play the Gregory Hines part?
No,
Ving Rhames.
I could see that.
They wanted Ving Rhames
That
at
would have been
first,
interesting.
but he said he couldn't do it because he had a schedule conflict. A good friend of his had just asked him to be in his new movie that he was trying out, Pulp Fiction.
Oh,
So
I thought let's say Tom Cruise.
not a
But
big deal. Yeah,
that's
right.
down the line.
2 more years. I like Gregory Hines. The trivia I read about Ving Rhames possibly being that character said that Gregory Hines doesn't fit the part. Ving Rhames would have been better. It's like, don't put an opinion in a trivia fact. I think
Yeah,
Gregory Hines
just-
is fine, and
Gregory
he's
Hines
playing
is
against
just
type.
like-
Well,
I think he pulled it off fine, and I think that
He's
people were
stretching.
saying Ving Rhames was just because like he's a bigger dude and meaner looking.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I don't know, man. I'm intimidated by Gregory Hines. That man can
Oh, yeah,
tap
yeah.
dance like a mofo.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm kind of sad they didn't like kind of shoehorn that in somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, he kills female androids like they're nothing.
Oh, yeah, because we had him in
I mean-
Eve of Destruction. I remember.
Call back to
finally.
Eve of Destruction.
Yeah.
Finally remember the
Season
name of
1.
that.
Season 1. Was that season 1?
No, that was episode 1 of season 2.
Ah, yes.
Okay, season 2. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Were you done with the description, Corey?
Oh, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, we moved on.
It's
Oh, yeah.
pretty high concept, so there's not.
Well, no, but then part of the he's never really taught before, so he's not sure what to teach, and so they're like, well, what are you going to teach us? He's like, I don't know, good question. And then
Mhm.
he starts with the most basic of essays, which is, why did you join the army? And at
Mhm.
that moment, it's like that's what's supposed to, these are just a bunch of loser knuckleheads up until that point, but this is supposed to be the moment where you're just like, oh, they have lives and backstories, and this is going to be a much more serious movie than you originally thought.
You know what? Weirdly enough, when I first saw this, I think this movie introduced me to what a simile and oxymoron was when I was a kid.
Mhm.
For
Mhm.
sure. Danny DeVito is very good in this, I have to say. I think. But
Heartfelt.
I grew up on movies like this. So I think this kind of movie is the epitome of the 90s for me. So there's like the little bit of saccharine, heartfelt lessons learned.
More so in the second half.
Yeah, I'd say so. I didn't remember how long it takes for him to get fired, but
It was original job
yeah, from being an ad exec.
almost within the first 5 minutes.
It took like a half an hour before he's actually on base. I paused right when he
He
enters
gets
for
fired.
Yeah, they really go through the it's a very accurate portrayal of unemployment in the
Uh-huh.
90s.
I completely forgot about the unemployment office stuff, but I don't know if that's just padding time.
I liked his
Yeah.
banter with that woman.
Yeah, that was
Well,
funny at least.
For his character development, it's a good way to build his backstory, but also like show that he's going through the ringer in a lot of the same way that like the kids that he's teaching have gone through the ringer, but they came from a life of hardship, whereas he just got introduced to hardship. So like
No, there's definitely a lot of parallels, which is
That's what I
good
was gonna
because
say.
it's because it's going back and forth, and they're all on the same level now. Just like it's the whole basic training mentality. Like you're all the same now, even the teacher versus the student here.
And he probably feels like he's a total idiot having to go to the unemployment office for the first time in his life. And
Yeah.
these
Oh,
kids
yeah.
probably feel like total idiots being told they're double D's and have to go learn how to read in the first place to comprehend how to be in the army. So
Oh, yeah.
they're kind of on the same level, like Jeff says.
In case anybody was wondering what double D was, it's dumb as dog shit or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, classic
kids are mean.
to themselves.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised by the guy that's giving him the tour of the base was James Remar, who Tristan and I met.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to one of the Comic-Cons in
Oh,
Cory's
okay.
area. Went up to him and talked about the Warriors and a couple other things he's done. I said, loved you on Dexter, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Brent Spiner
Nerd.
came up while we were there and nerded out and was like, I've loved your work, man.
Wait, Brent Spiner came up to talk to James Remar?
Uh-huh, as we were there. We were the only two people at his table at the time.
After he walked away, James Remar was talking about how much he loves Next Generation as opposed to the original series.
Mm-hmm. So they were
Yeah.
like fanboying on each other.
Everybody loves each other at
Yeah.
those Comic Cons. But the smaller they are,
Yeah.
the more of a family.
It was definitely a
is.
smaller sized con. It was kind of
Yeah.
cool to see two celebrities meet each other.
But that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got that, and then the colonel at the base camp is Cliff Robertson.
Yeah. Peter Parker's father himself.
Yeah, no,
Uncle
uncle,
Ben.
Uncle, whatever. Well, we don't know that.
You know, the dude from Flowers for Algernon.
Yeah, yeah. Good.
Charlie.
So I remember.
No, you knew that.
Yeah,
I didn't know you knew Cliff Robertson.
it was of the three things I know him from, two of which are Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
He's great as Charlie, though.
Yes,
I'd
he was
recommend
great
that.
as Charlie.
Yeah.
Cliff Robertson was great.
Who stands out amongst the classroom students?
Well, let's talk about who's right behind your head. This is
Yeah.
the film
Yeah.
debut, of Mr. Marky Mark Wahlberg.
He didn't like this?
No, he doesn't like being called Marky Mark.
Oh, okay.
That was his idea.
Yeah, what are the
That was
funky
the-
buttons
Fine,
now?
that's fair. That's fair. People can change. I get it.
Like it.
Yes, they can. He can definitely change.
Yeah. What I know about his childhood.
Yeah.
That's the point of this movie,
Yeah.
too.
I actually liked him quite a bit in this. I think he has a nice arc.
My favorite was Kadeem Hardison as the
Yeah.
class clown.
Lilo Brancato.
Who
Lilo.
lives in Woodbridge now, by
Yeah,
the way.
nice.
Wow.
I don't
I've
know if
only
we've ever mentioned this to you guys, and I don't know if you remember this. We almost had Lilo Brancato on a 624 production.
yeah.
This is an exclusive.
I mean, that makes
It didn't
sense.
work out,
Yeah.
but
No.
That makes sense because it's kind of like his MO is he plays like the same type of character every time. No,
yeah,
because
he was.
he did Bronx Tale and he hasn't changed his tune since because then he
Right.
was on a bunch of episodes of The Sopranos playing basically the same
Yeah.
character.
He not in jail for a while?
Yeah, he ended up in jail for a while. We don't need to go into that.
Didn't we talk about this on an
That's
earlier
just
episode? I don't know.
gossip.
Point is he was good in this. He had heart. And then like that moment at because the meat of this that we haven't gotten to yet is what he decides to teach them is Shakespeare. And he goes into they go into a deep dive in Hamlet and just like explaining Hamlet for people who've never read Shakespeare
Heard of him,
before
yeah.
or heard of him. And it was kind of like, it was the Dead Broets Society, basically.
Oh.
You've been saving that.
I have. That was my because it's kind of like the same dynamic. He shows them how relatable this text
He's young,
is.
he's hip.
Right, exactly. And it's really
Take it
interesting because
down.
they start basically performing Hamlet in different ways
Yeah.
that are relating with it's a statement on the education system and where it needs to go as well as just it's entertaining because you see these jarheads doing Shakespeare, but
Whoa,
like,
buddy, come on.
Both of you messing up on what branch
that's okay. All right, I'm sorry. My mistake. See, this is. I say this so that Jimmy can correct me and I learned something today.
Yeah.
I apologize. So which branch is that?
That's the Marines, buddy.
Okay, fine. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Big grunts.
Well, to be fair, I'm like that one guy's brother who like I just keep getting him mixed up. I'm like the 12-year-old.
We're gonna go with like army
Grunt.
slur. The soldiers would be called dog faces.
Okay.
Technically, but nobody
All
really
right.
uses that anymore.
Well, they're not.
We covered
I'm
that.
not. I'm not equipped to use that word, so we'll just say the army.
Yeah.
The jugheads, not jarhead, jughead, like because he reached from the
Well, it's
Archie
funny,
comic.
yeah.
Because he reached from
Come on, that's what I like. I like comics.
he
What's
said
wrong with
I
that?
like comics.
Oh,
He
no.
talks,
Yeah.
but anyway, like it's showing that the key to getting anybody to learn anything is to have them relate to it, and if you
Yeah.
can get people who've had such broken lives connect to something as abstract as Shakespeare can be, then it's like it's really
It transcends
good.
time.
It's
you know,
right,
that's
poetic.
why
right. Yeah, see,
Shakespeare
that's
is
right. It's poetic.
so
That's
popular, because when you can actually relate to it in all the different ways that these kids are coming from, that's why Shakespeare's so good.
Supposedly.
I felt like this time, because I was trying to analyze it more than I ever had. I watched this a dozen times when I was a kid, but I was thinking about the switch where he's like clearly an ad exec brain. Now I got to teach kids. How am I even going to approach this? And then he just happens to bring Hamlet to read himself. So that's just his thing. They never really showed that earlier in the movie, but I thought it was weird that he's suddenly teaching Hamlet. I was like, how do we get to this? I don't remember. And it kind of naturally happens because he just likes Shakespeare. And he later says, like, I'm glad I got to do something I loved. And that's what happens with the best of teachers. Like, they're giving you their knowledge because they love that subject. So for him, he finally found his passion, and he didn't realize that was it. And these kids didn't realize that Shakespeare could be their passion too, within the army. Like, I think that's what the best part of this movie is, like coming together, finding your passion.
And then throughout all of this, Cass, Gregory Hines' character is like just sort of the antagonist. Like, when are they going to need any of this when they're on the battlefield? Like,
They just need to know how to kill.
This is bullshit.
Or
They need to know how to do
not
this.
Die.
Another pivotal moment is when they leave he's late to class because he went for a job interview somewhere else because Bill did. Yeah, sorry. And so, he was late and they're just like, what, we're just a fucking afterthought? What is this? And so they leave, and then to make it up to them, he does the military training thing. Like, he climbs up the Victory Tower?
Yeah, Victory Tower, yeah.
Well, it's a good sight gag to watch the diminutive
tiny man
scale wall.
Yeah, it's I can see how that would be taken out of context in the trailer. Like, that's just the
yeah.
It's a very heavy moment when you realize what's going on, because he's trying to explain. He's still trying to teach while he's up there. And then at the same time they're teaching him. He's like, well, now you got to get down.
He's trying to get them to go to class. He's like, I got 15 minutes. You got 15 minutes of class. You can't bail on me. Come on.
Yeah.
Right.
There's some like a little bit of like crunching what time he's got left with them.
There are a few loose sitcom-y moments like that where it's like, okay, we could have figured this out in a more rational way, but like he's got his focus on get my minutes in with these kids, and he's fighting with Gregory Hines. It's fine. I don't mind the squidginess of it, because I think Danny DeVito sells his character, and I think all these kids have different personalities that actually stand out. I know some of them are like one note, like Melvin. Melvin is just always falling asleep, but he has good bits, and he really sells it.
You find out why he's falling asleep, and you're like, that's.
There's always a tragedy behind these kids too. And that's the thing. You don't know what anyone's day has been like. That's the other point of this. And I didn't think about this. I didn't remember James Remar was in it, but his whole thing is, I got too much to do in too little time. And you're asking me to tell you about this one kid in this class that we kind of shuffled off to the side. Like, we shuffled them off so I didn't have to deal with them. I don't want to just can them from the army, but I got to put out a fire in another base that I don't give a shit about. Like, I gotta,
no, he's got responsibilities.
Right. And these kids he doesn't want to have to be responsible for, because it would be easier to just can them. At least he's trying to give them a chance by having Bill teach them. It's interesting, I think.
they go into that also being a parallel with like, yeah, this guy's overworked and has way too much to like his system's fucked and he's got too much to worry about. And so he puts it off on the teacher who
Mhm.
also has way too much going on. And they talk about how they just crank out high school diplomas without actually giving anybody a foundation in
Mhm.
life and then expect them to just fucking succeed. And that's how, some of them decided to end up there.
Yeah, I think there's commentary on life more than
Oh, yeah.
any of these
Yeah,
critics realize.
there's a little extra parallel too, because on top of all this, critiquing the educational system and like, the belief is like going military is like a option to like move yourself up in society. What's going on in like real life at this time? The Cold War just ended, and we're just a few years into that, and a lot of army divisions, probably other branches of the military, their bases were closed down, and army divisions were decommissioned. So like you have less bases, but like a bunch of people either like getting early outs, or people who are just newly recruited getting shuffled to other bases. So I don't know how accurate they portray that in this movie, but like I know at this time like there's like a lot of defunding the military.
Well, they hinted that a
So
little bit
yeah,
with Remar. So I think that's the case. I think that's sort of a result of this. Maybe whoever wrote this sort of latched onto that idea, like to make the base for this. I was gonna say that one of my favorite moments in this is when Lila Brancato does his speech from Henry V on like the practice field for Gregory Hines. It's clearly like the climax of the movie prove that you've actually learned something. Like that's your test. You don't need to come in for the final test. And that gets me every time. I teared up this time, like I always do. So I'd say Lila Brancato might be my favorite, honestly. I liked them all this time though. I was trying to see if anyone had a false note, but all these kids have
Oh,
dynamic
they got time to
performances.
shine.
There was not a weak joint in this
Speaking of joints, we didn't
platoon here.
mention Khalil Kane, who we saw in Juice a couple of years ago. He's the one that ends up he was hiding in the army because he was a dealer
Hmm.
too.
Which is another thing because like he's supposed to, it was a getting punished for doing the right thing situation because Danny DeVito is just like this kid's way too smart to be in this class. Like we need to reassess what he's doing. And they look at his paperwork and we're like, oh, he dealt crack.
Yeah.
And of course
So
he's the smartest one in the room.
right.
I felt that was a little easy to get away with though, because he's in prison writing his teacher like, I'm in jail, but I'm glad you did it.
I'm just
Yeah, that
I
was
weird.
It's a comedy. There has to be happy bits.
I'm so glad though my brain has been conditioned to like anytime I see a group of people in a van driving down a dark road, like and you see the van, I'm like they're gonna get into an accident. Someone's gonna die. Or like the dude is writing from jail and it's like the last letter he ever sends because he gets
Yeah.
shanked in the next scene. I'm like, oh God.
No, don't
Oh
think.
no, what's gonna
No, why you
but
gotta ruin the movie
that's the
that way?
thing.
What's wrong
That's the
with you?
thing. That's what my brain thought. I'm like, that didn't happen. It was actually a happy movie. It was like it was
Just kind of
positive. It was pleasant. It was realistic, but
It
pleasant.
was a good experience, and then like you made it bad.
I feel like
in your
Cory
head.
didn't love this though. He's just
No.
grimacing every time we say something nice about the movie.
Which means we're on the right track because Cory hates everything that we like.
Yeah.
No, not
His
everything.
choice the
Some
last
things you
few
like,
months
you
have
like.
not been good.
Uh-huh. We'll get somewhere. We got movies you picked later in the year.
That's okay. Then that next month
He'll get back at us next month.
Oh, the next month's a great movie.
I agree, but
Yeah.
I don't know how these two are gonna feel about it. They might just in spite of me not enjoy it.
They'll be fine. They like
I
everything.
just
We'll
think,
see.
hey, I agree with you on the casting. I agree with you on that. Inspirational teacher subgenre was never my favorite. It just
You
comes
don't
up-
like Dead Poets Society either.
I don't.
And
So
that's the one everyone loves.
exactly. Maybe don't take it from me, but I think the movie's banal and manipulative, but that's okay.
And that's why I like it. It manipulated me.
No, I think Danny DeVito,
It manipulated my heartstrings.
Danny DeVito elevates the material for sure.
Yeah.
And so is the cast. But I just think the material's not that good.
Well, like I said, this writer never did anything else really.
Well, it
So-
could be as a after effect of this movie bombing.
It probably is. It might have been
cost-
like his best chance.
It cost 40, which is actually pretty high for the time.
It's probably mostly Danny's
Do you think Danny was commissioning that much
I
back
don't
then?
know. He's coming off of
No,
Batman
it was
Returns.
it was all the
This was after Penny Marshall did League of Their Own,
So it
so
might be Penny's salary.
could-
pennies or all of the background extras because you think they actually got military folks to
They They did apparently.
Yeah.
Not entirely, but like the actual graduation, that's a real graduation at that.
Oh,
They filmed at an actual base. It's in
Yeah.
I
South
forget
Carolina,
where.
I think.
It's South Carolina. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
The movie
But
said
that's
Detroit,
their
right?
graduation that year, like the '93 graduation. They just inserted shots of Cliff Robertson at it. So they said we're gonna film this speech, and then you'll continue on with your thing. One of those, like when they film at a baseball game, you know.
Yeah.
They also filmed at the base, so I imagine people going around in formations are probably real. Maybe not the training like at the end where Lilo does his Henry V speech, or the one in the middle of the night. So the night scenes are probably all extras, but they probably filmed those two back to back. You know,
Well, yeah,
I'm sure they could have done this on a budget, and most of it was those two salaries. That's my guess.
I would think so.
But it clearly wasn't not a moneymaker. What was it, Flintstones, which we did last month? That was still #1 when this came out. And
Yeah.
Flintstones, well, I think they're actually a week apart because Flintstones was the anime. This was the beginning of June, actually. So that's kind of irrelevant. But Flintstones lasted a while and was a huge hit. So it kind of overshadowed this and anything else that came out in June. Like June '94 is not that memorable when we get into it, but there are a couple that come later in the month that are more July releases as well, like bigger that month.
Well, even like it would have probably been better later.
It's-
It was just kind of counter programming.
Yeah.
Well, it's got some bit of Memorial Day theme to it, with the one character they look into his dad's service record in Vietnam.
I guess, yeah.
So
So I guess there's that.
it's a nice little payoff there. I was kind of half expecting Ed Begley Jr. to mysteriously be at the military graduation, like he just knew.
Yeah, like oh, he's good friends with this guy.
Yeah.
Was this the in-laws?
So obviously Cory doesn't love this, but what would you grade this? Because I know even when you're harsh on him, you still give him like B-.
No, yeah, but I'll go a solid C.
Oh, that is low. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, the material is just it was never tailored towards me because I don't like. I feel like these movies are kind of cookie cutter, and despite the fact that the actors are good, I don't think they bring enough to it that it transcends that. So, but Danny DeVito is always fun to watch. I see you nodding. Okay, go ahead.
I
Give
don't know.
your
You're
A.
allowed to have your opinion. I'm
Give your A.
probably steeped in nostalgia because this, coming from a theater background with my parents, like we watch this movie and it every time we love it. And I think it's because we love Shakespeare, you know? So watching these kids figure out Shakespeare was a highlight of my youth, you know? This is the thing I knew Danny DeVito from. This was part of why I love movies, honestly, because I was thinking about like movies that I owned, and this was always like solidly why I wanted to keep a list of movies that I loved. This is up there for me.
Yeah.
One of those, oh, it's
So
on
what's your-
TNT today. Oh, A+. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
And it still holds up, I think.
Well, this is gonna be your favorite movie of the year.
Maybe.
Uh,
It's still in my top 100 movies.
oh my God.
Yeah. That's why I like Gregory
Yeah.
Hines. This is what I knew him from.
What about you, Jeff?
What? Either an A or an A-. I think A, honestly, because it was, there were some things that were not completely resolved or felt shoehorned in, like the whole subplot with his daughter. I don't know. I loved it. It was just, I felt like it could have used another 10 minutes to resolve a few more things, but other than that, it was fine. I like it.
You wanted
I like
more
it.
of it.
I did. I wanted more.
Wow.
It left me wanting more.
I'm gonna go with the B plus.
Okay.
Yeah, good B plus.
How about that?
Solid B+.
Was the gun conversation enough for you to put it over into A-?
Oh, what? No.
I want to know. I told Jimmy as that scene
Wahlberg's
happened.
assessment with the what is it, the Remington over the Galil? Yeah, no, I'm gonna say Wahlberg. Yeah, his character. No.
Jimmy should have been the technical advisor for the.
Oh
Well, that's
no.
what I'm saying. As soon as that scene happened, I'm like, Jeff's gonna ask you about is that gun scene accurate?
That's what I'm saying.
mean,
that's what I
Comparing like a fully automatic assault rifle with a hunting rifle, what's really gonna realistically win? Come on.
Yeah. That's the joke. That was for the gun fans.
Yeah. So
see. It's got something for everybody.
I do have one final question about this. I promise this is it from my childhood, like dumb movies.
We'll find something else.
Which one's better, Renaissance Man or Guarding Tess?
Guarding Tess.
This
Hmm.
Renaissance Man.
Guarding test for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Renaissance Man.
Yeah.
Simply because they just like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. They're both, I admit, kind
Yeah.
of dumb. But because I watched them so much as a kid, these were the movies that
Yeah.
I thought of when we started this podcast because they're like the 90s to me. So, and when I found out they were in the same year, I'm like, I'm going to try my hardest to get them in here. I know Corey's going to fight me. But now I'm done. Everything else from here on in is like
Guarding Tess was more of a comedy. This one was more of like this is a heartfelt drama with a
Well,
comedy
comedic drama.
wrapper. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's other movies that came out this month. I'll start with my number one. This will probably start a.
We're going to.
We're gonna go from 1 to 5.
Mhm.
Big movie came out this month. This one probably overtook Flintstones for number one. Speed.
I think it did.
Yeah. Speed came out this month, which spawned a ill-fated sequel. But still just like it's one of those elevator pitches that you're just like, okay, that sounds like a great action movie. There's a mad bomber. He puts a bomb on a bus. The bus goes over 50 miles per hour. If it tries to go under, it explodes. This is around the time that I think this is shortly after Point Break for Keanu. So
Yeah, I don't know if he has anything in between. I think Midsummer Night's Dream
Oh, he did Much Ado About
or
Nothing.
Much Ado About Nothing. Yeah, I
Yes.
always mix those titles up. What a great Shakespeare fan I am.
Yeah, and My Own Private Idaho, I think, was around this time. So he was mixing like indie dramas with doing big action movies.
High octane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I like this more than Point Break.
I agree.
Yeah, this is a
It's
great
almost a
film.
perfect action movie.
Yeah, I definitely think it's in my top 5 for action films.
And it's funny because we were talking about memes before the podcast started. This, I think, created a great meme with the Jeff Daniels shrug before he dies.
Yeah,
It's like, I know I'm done.
yeah.
And that comes out of nowhere.
Isn't this the movie you got? And it
Oh,
wasn't-
Shrug.
So no. Okay, so I bought a DVD copy of Speed,
Yeah.
and I open it up, and it's just the bonus disc from like this was a single disc DVD case that just had the bonus disc from a 2-disc copy. I didn't
special
have
features.
like the special features, so I couldn't watch the movie. I could just watch the special features. So I still haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, so that was actually spoilers for Jeff.
That's a shame.
Even though
It's okay.
it's in
That's
the
why I look
first
at my
few
phone
minutes.
when Corey starts talking.
Yeah.
The number 2 movie I know you've seen
I'm sure.
and you probably love. It's a little Disney animated classic called The Lion King.
Small film.
Ah.
Small film.
There's a reason Renaissance Man wasn't at the top of the box.
Another Hamlet movie?
Ah,
Yeah.
No, you're not wrong. You're not
Does
wrong.
that
This is the
And-
400th anniversary of Hamlet.
had Hans Zimmer, both Renaissance Man and The Lion King.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't remember the score to Renaissance Man at all.
Kind of goofy.
Yeah, because he's usually doing stuff for like Ridley Scott during this period, and then he obviously becomes like Christopher Nolan's composer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is during that Disney. I want to say was a second wave,
The Disney Renaissance?
the Renaissance. The second wave's like Hercules, not,
Yeah.
but the Renaissance of Disney. Of those movies, would you? I don't know. I would probably put this above Aladdin, but it's close.
I think this is the peak of the Disney Renaissance. Like it starts with Little
Right.
Mermaid and underratedly Rescuers Down Under. But then peaks with Lion King, Pocahontas, it plateaus, Hunchback, and then it kind of comes back down with Mulan and Tarzan. Even though they're good, like there is that hill. Like from
What
94
about
to
Hercules?
Oh, and Hercules. So I'd say that's the
There you
plateau.
go.
So it start like 94 through 98
Come
is the
on.
plateau, but this is where we get to it. I like Aladdin more, but this is a fantastic film. I've seen this maybe the most of any Disney animated film. I watched this a lot as a kid.
And also, you can't avoid the songs.
Yeah. Yeah. This was my first CD.
I think I was more of a fan of Aladdin just because I was a fan of, Robin Williams doing the genie stuff.
Mhm.
So that was what I watched it for.
Timon and Pumbaa.
I remember loving it. I remember like I didn't watch it that much, but I should go back and rewatch it. Like with the understanding of, 30 years of hindsight.
Well,
Mhm.
even like Aladdin's a little more digestible because it's more of a comedy because of the Robin Williams character. This is very much kind of dark and brooding at parts. So
Well, I love it.
Wake up, Dad.
yeah,
Mhm.
this goes back to like the trauma of Bambi for most kids.
Mhm.
Yeah. This is this generation's
Yeah.
Bambi.
Yeah.
Yeah, in every song, there's not a false note in any of them.
No. And that's why it's currently the longest running Disney musical on Broadway.
Yeah. I'm sure it's gonna overtake Phantom someday.
And we even have a CGI prequel coming out in the fall.
How do you feel about that? I know we're
It's useless. That's pointless.
Wait, a prequel to The Lion King?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
called Mufasa.
So
Mufasa.
Oh, right. ugh. Let
is
him
Scar
let him
gonna be
die
a
in
slightly
peace.
more
Jesus.
sympathetic villain?
I know. We're finding out
By the
how
Man,
like
he
Let
was
the-
short. He was sure a cute kid. Shame he dies in about 20 years.
yeah.
Let the ghost of this fictional lion rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
Give James Earl Jones a voice rest. Jesus.
Speaking of quadrupeds, Jack Nicholson played Wolf.
Oh, what a transition. Up there
Like
with
that.
some of your best.
Thank you. So maybe you're wondering what Mike Nichols was doing during the 90s. Well, he had
I was.
I know you were. I'm going to answer that question for you. He directed Wolf with Jack Nicholson, which is a satirical horror comedy where Jack Nicholson plays a book editor who's bitten by a werewolf.
It sounds
I feel like
incredible.
I've seen this
Yeah,
movie.
it is incredible. You should check it out. And Rick Baker does the prosthetics, but they don't put a lot of prosthetics on Jack Nicholson's face because, let's be honest, look at Jack Nicholson. He kind of looks feral.
You don't need it.
Yeah, you just kind of put a little bit of hair on his
Look
face.
at my brow.
Just being redundant.
Yeah, but it's a very sly, clever movie, and it's fun. So I think this is one that Jeff would like. Jeff should check this one.
I'll put it on the list.
Also, number 4, unfortunately, came on the heels of a much bigger movie on the same subject, which is Wyatt Earp.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, Tombstone, which is debatably, in my opinion, one of the best westerns of all time. I know Jeff agrees. And then this actually was filming, I think, concurrently with Tombstone, but just because of the draw of the release date, it came out later.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I feel like Tombstone pushed up to December 93.
Could have, yeah.
But they're within 6 months of each other. And I feel like they got in so they'd be in a separate calendar year for Oscar consideration. I think that's all it was.
And when you watch them back to back, Wyatt Earp is more of a cradle to the grave movie. Tombstone's just about that one incident that happens in that town.
So they're kind of appropriate.
Yeah, so I don't see they really should have been competing with one another. Having said that, I think this movie's bloated. It's not very engaging, unfortunately, because you would think Kevin Costner and Wyatt Earp should be pretty good.
Slam dunk.
Yeah, and he's reuniting with Lawrence Kasdan, who he did Silverado with. But you just start to realize that maybe his life wasn't that interesting, and maybe Tombstone was the peak of that.
I don't mean to digress, but there have been dozens of movies about Wyatt Earp, and Jimmy and I we watched a couple this year, and we've realized that it's more the mythology of Wyatt Earp, and he was alive when Hollywood started, so he was allowed to write his own story.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it kind of is all made up.
Well, there's also the fact that Wyatt Earp was kind of a legend before he came to Tombstone because he did some Western cowboy shenanigans somewhere else, and then when he came to Tombstone, that he already had a big reputation.
But
It's funny because
it's
they
kind
even
of
go
like
back
He's famous to us because of the OK Corral incident,
right.
But back then, he wasn't famous for that.
It's kind of
So
like
that made him more famous, but he had a reputation beforehand, and that was just the cherry on top.
I can separate the two movies, but unfortunately, there's going to be areas of comparison. Like you got Dennis Quaid instead of Val Kilmer as Doc, and he's just not nearly as good as Val Kilmer, unfortunately. Even if I think the release dates were reversed, I would still feel the same way. Also, I think it was another unfortunate incident of Kevin Costner's ego getting in the way of production problems, where things were over schedule and over budget.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see later with Waterworld and then Postman.
Oh yeah,
we saw his last good movie with The Perfect World.
The last movie is a movie called I Love Trouble, which is trying to be a throwback to those Billy Wilder gumshoe investigative movies, but it's supposed to be a romantic comedy with Julia Roberts and Nick Nolte. And can you imagine what kind of chemistry they have? Because they don't have any. But yeah, it's just funny that I think this was around the time that Nick Nolte got Sexiest Man Alive on People.
Yeah, and Julia Roberts is probably sexy.
The 90s.
Yeah,
It was a different world back then.
Yeah.
Different time.
A lot more drugs.
yeah.
Yeah. He's not exactly croaking through the movie yet. His voice hasn't gotten that gravelly yet. But
Yeah, his age hasn't hit him yet either.
Okay.
that was June 1994.
Poster boy.
So I can.
Oh my God.
Hey Jeff, it's poster boy time.
Oh
Yeah.
Yo,
boy.
wake up. Now my segment's
I'm
over.
back.
You can actually
I'm back.
do the podcast.
He's
Do you
back,
like
baby.
mute the podcast when Cory goes?
I mute myself sometimes. No, I don't mute it. I just
Why? So I can't hear him snoring through my segment.
Oh my goodness. Hey, I was engaged this time.
I didn't change this one much because I just need you to describe it.
Really? Okay. All right. Okay. So we got a purple brick wall. All right. In front of this purple brick wall
You had a brick wall in the last
is
boy
Yeah.
too.
a man with a very large head and very large hair, like somewhere between Marge Simpson's hairdo and the Sorting Hat, peeking out from behind a well-figured woman in a woman presumably in a black and white striped dress. So she's peeking out from behind.
That thing ain't
Looks like there
hiding.
might be graffiti on the wall. I'm trying to decipher.
It's not important.
All right, fine. The way the hat is, I don't know if this is because of the blur or because of
Yeah,
of whatever
It wouldn't
photoshopping, but it's
change when I
just
tried to Photoshop it.
okay.
The name cuts into the hat a
I
little
was
bit.
saying like it looks like the fucking sandworm from Dune, like
Kinda
right
does.
now. Just
Yeah.
there's
That
a lot
is
of
the
things.
shape, but
It's
imagine
turning
it a
into an
little
ink
more
blot
rounded.
test. It's turning into an ink blot test. Okay, so I want to guess this is one of the Wayans brothers.
I mean, I didn't take any names yet.
Guys,
Oh boy.
just from the eyes. No, no. Okay,
It's
all right. Well,
along the same lines as a Wayne's brother comedy. Is it?
okay.
Is
So
it? Is it, Cory?
I don't.
You've seen it, right?
Yeah, I know, but it's not it's a mockumentary. It's not.
Okay.
okay. Well, I was gonna suggest there's actually a play called this, so it's not another real possibility. The Motherfucker in the Hat.
Ooh, that's funny.
That actually would have been a perfect title.
Right. That's
Yeah.
what this looks like a live action terrible comedy version of The Cat in the Hat. Other than the actual live action terrible comedy version of The Cat in the Hat.
I
Yeah.
could.
Like a parody. This would have been a parody of that. Like it's just some guy who's got because I can't the hat is there. The hat is
Mm-hmm.
ever present in the poster and one would hope in the film itself. It's like some sort of magic headpiece.
Now, Jeff, I'm a
That
big
I'm
fan of
assuming makes him better with women. Like a shallow hal situation, but with
What did you say, Cory?
I know he's a big fan of hip hop, right?
oh,
Yeah.
you know it. You
Yeah.
know.
Oh, and
I'm
the
hip.
title-
I'm hop.
The title,
I
the
hop
title-
all over them hips. Like when we
title is a parody of a hip hop album title.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
New World something.
He's not, I mean, he's close to what the group.
This is the Wu-Tang Forever movie. Like what are
This is before Wu-Tang. I'm pretty sure.
we
It's about when they come on.
hang on. I'm
I
trying
can tell
to
you I can tell you the group. I don't know if that'll help you.
probably not, but shoot.
I'm gonna say Public Enemy, but I don't know if
Oh, wait a minute. Public Enemy. Wait, was Public Enemy in this?
no.
No. Okay. This wasn't the prequel to Flavor of Love.
No.
I met Flavor Flav once, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Different
It's the
story.
30th anniversary of that, isn't
Yeah.
it?
You're the lead.
Of me meeting. No, that was something else. You're thinking of Funkmaster Flex.
Oh, yeah, I am.
But no, Flavor Flav played it. Public Enemy played at my college one year,
I forgot
which
about
was
that.
bizarre. But anyway,
Yeah, and I didn't realize this was a play on that album.
this is. I'm gonna be honest. I
Yeah, you're not gonna.
I couldn't even guess a parody.
No, you don't need to come
of
up with
it.
a name, but
Yeah.
I want to see what you would think. What obviously Cory said it's like hip hop, it's a mockumentary. What do you think it sort of follows based on that?
It's not Boys in the Hood because we did that one already.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean like the plot. What do you think the course of the mockumentary
the
takes?
plot is
Or are they mocking?
okay. All right. So it's basically like he's got Flavor Flav's got the giant clocks. This guy's got giant hat, and that's just you're following that, and it's that's the initial gimmick, but then it just goes deeper into like a Spinal Tap situation, following him on the road, his rise to stardom, his inevitable demise on the road, the rise and fall of a hip hop superstar that no one's ever heard of until this documentary came out.
There you go. I like that.
He is extremely close.
Yeah. This will not help you, but this is up at the top.
Straight from the hip hop underground.
Kind of goes along with what you're saying.
Cool.
And because I know you're never going to get
It's
the name.
it's about the best artist you've never heard of.
You got close enough with a lot
Nominated
of
for
elements of it.
17 Grammys, never won a single one. Fear of a Black Hat. Cool.
The album's called Fear of a Black Planet.
Uh,
And it's funny you mentioned NWA. The group in this is NWH. And
right. Yeah.
Right.
That's kind of funny. Is it good?
No.
Okay.
There's a couple funny parts, but it actually, weirdly enough, because he said it's kind of like Spinal Tap. It follows the same plot beats as Spinal Tap. Like there's a falling out, and there's a. I know it's gonna sound derogatory. There's a Yoko Ono in the group that kind of like Spinal Tap.
It's kind of a trope. Like the reason Yoko Ono got big is because she's the most famous of the Yoko Onos.
Yes.
I have
The
one more
OG.
thing for you to do before we go, since it was obviously a difficult title to come up with, and one I knew you probably wouldn't get. I think you got enough points for coming close to the plot, so that's satisfying, you know. But can you come up with, now that you know what it's about, a slogan, a catchphrase, something on the poster that goes up and above that hat in the purple area? Because I'll give you some bonus points for that.
Everybody's got a gimmick. The hat knows what the heart doesn't.
I'm gonna give you negative points for that one.
What? This is a Woody Allen documentary?
Yeah, no. Think about hip hop. You don't want to give it a bad rap.
Oh God.
I actually forget the slogan, so I was trying to come up with what it was myself.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Thumping, bumping, and two-time chumping.
Oh my God.
He's just trying to get Jeff to rap.
I have no idea. This feels like a setup.
Oh,
Yeah.
The
That's
first
horrible.
drive-by comment. Oh my God.
it's kind of
I'm
Yeah.
stereotypical.
I'm done.
That's horrible.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
That's horrible.
That's bad.
Oof.
Isn't that awful?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, not terrible.
What was that, like juice from the hood? There's that one.
Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Yeah. That like played on stereotypes to try to like get the black crowd to like their own,
That was a parody.
like find comedy within their bleak dramas, but that's just a bad joke, like a reject joke from that movie.
Yes.
Woof.
They would have made
This
fun of that.
Yeah, they wouldn't even go that.
this feels like a bottom of the barrel, like SCTV writers room reject sketch.
Oh, SCTV. How dare you?
Or like
No, that's
Mad TV's
Mad
That's
TV. Yeah,
Mad
Mad
TV.
TV.
SCTV is
You're right. You're right. I retract. Mad
Alright,
TV.
alright.
Yeah.
Speaking of good vibrations.
Ah.
Yeah.
We're gonna be the Funky Bunch and pick our favorite Marky Mark film.
I got mine.
Yeah?
The Departed.
Planet of the Apes, right? Oh, okay.
Bastard.
Mhm.
Man, that's a good choice. I was like a little torn up on picking the Departed as well.
Yeah, Departed is his Oscar nomination.
Oh yeah. Well, since you picked that, I'm going with We Own the Night.
Ooh,
Wow, it's underrated.
Yeah, because I liked him in that movie too. It's
that's
been a
perfect.
while. I should watch it again.
Yeah, I've never seen it either. We could watch that if you want.
Wait, really? You've never
Yeah,
seen it?
I sort of missed it.
Huh.
Yeah, I always
Who
wanted
did
to.
I
I
see
just
it with?
Yo
It
plays
came-
dad.
I was
Bobby.
out of theaters by the time I saw it, or wanted to see it. You know,
One
Yeah,
of
I'm
the
pretty
last
sure I saw that movie in
I
theater.
think
Well,
I think we were in
pretty sure.
college.
one of the last movies with Ava Mendes before she retired.
Mhm.
Actually,
Let me see what year We Own the Night was. Well, Jeff picks his because I have mine, and I'm sure Corey
well,
can
since
guess.
2007.
Yeah, that's when I was a junior. So
Yeah,
you were in
but
Delaware
I-
even.
Oh, it came out in May.
Yeah, you would have still been at DCAT.
Oh, no, May in Cannes Film Festival. October for United States.
So now you were in New York
I probably saw that
with
with one of the
Pratt
boys in the
friends.
city.
Yeah,
Well, technically Pratt friends, but also former DCAT friends because they
true.
were at DCAT.
Yeah, I forgot
Well,
a
some
couple
of them
came
were.
up with you. Yeah.
Listen, you like
Oh,
the
before me.
What do I like?
It's James Gray.
Oh yeah, see, I had not seen any James Gray films still, so I thought that was the one I'd get into. But first one I finally saw was that Immigrant movie with
Oh, The Immigrant.
Joaquin. Yeah. Joaquin and
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, did
that Immigrant film, whatever that's called.
I know.
Immigrant.
Tristan, did you pick one?
Not yet.
Okay, I think you and I might be picking. Oh no, actually,
Come on, what do you guys think my favorite
Boogie
Wahlberg
Nights.
film is?
I'm
I
going
Heart
Boogie Nights.
Huckabees.
Oh, yeah, you have high.
Jimmy knew.
Huckabees.
Even Jimmy knew.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I knew
immediately.
when I saw it on the list. I'm like, okay, he's got
Not me.
I Heart
Like,
Huckabees. No, I'm gonna go with Boogie Nights.
So Boogie Nights, I Heart Huckabees.
Yeah, of
He's
course.
maybe my favorite part of that movie.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I would have
No, I
thought
wanna-
Jude Law.
The movie has come up
I
so
love
much
Boogie.
lately. I want to watch it again.
Yeah, let's do it.
I
I just watched it like 3
I just
months
want to
ago.
watch behind the scenes.
Well, another runner up for me. I would have chosen Three Kings as well.
Oh, Three Kings would be my choice otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's oof.
I just said The Fighter.
The other guys.
Other Guys is very funny. I think that's the funniest he ever is.
I don't know. Teddy's pretty
Oh wait,
I like him more
Yeah,
than Ted.
yeah,
Teddy's
Ted-
good, but I like Other Guys even more. And then he kind of falls off after that. He hasn't been good in a
He
decade.
really hasn't been doing good movies.
He's doing more producing,
Yeah. My father
And-
wants to see Arthur the King.
and his brother helping his brother with this burger joint.
Yeah, well, Cory and I went to Wahlburgers
We
Yeah,
did.
in
That's right.
Connecticut.
It was okay.
Sorry, guys.
You know what's funny is
Donnie's doing fine with Blue
please don't
Bloods.
kill us.
Tristan, do you remember what was on the ceilings?
No, not at all.
No, here's how I remember this. On the ceiling, they have emblazoned all the names of every movie he's been in.
Just Mark, not
Just
Donnie.
Mark. Just Mark.
Oh my god!
Poor Donnie.
What a slap to the face.
Yeah, well, Donnie's not in much. He's Blue
Like,
Bloods
you
and Sixth
look up-
Sense.
You're trying to eat a burger.
Well,
and
Donnie
have-
was also in Band of Brothers, wasn't he?
True.
Yeah.
Those
so
are-
he should
those
get
are
some
like
credit
it,
for
though.
that.
Yeah, he has a
Very
corner.
patriotic of him.
You're trying to have a good appetite, and then you look up, you see Max
Oh,
Payne,
fuck,
and all of a sudden
Max
you get
Payne.
stomach pains.
Yeah. I love that you and I both picked the same movie to get grossed
Like,
out
oh God.
by. Fuck, Shooter.
I can't eat here.
Pain and Gain. Actually, Pain and Gain's not bad.
Pain and Gain's alright.
So next month, I guarantee you're going to be blown away by our next film.
Yeah.
Because blown away. This is my first rated R film I ever saw.
Oh, really?
Not in theaters, but at all.
There's a ever like wow,
Ever.
congratulations.
Ever.
The only rated R movie he's ever seen.
I've never seen any others. Sorry, The Matrix.
This is
That was the first one I saw in theaters.
It's a
The Matrix.
celebration.
Okay. I got one of the biggest on-screen explosions of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Until
think it's
Nolan
rare.
blew up that atomic bomb last year.
maybe, yeah.
It's pretty good. I think we'll like it.
What would you say would be like the Barbenheimer of 1994? We should talk about this at the end. Like if there were two movies that
Speed.
came out around the same time.
Speed and the Flintstones.
Speedstones.
Like, get out of here. They
Speed
didn't
King.
come out the same week, though.
Yeah. We'll see what
Definitely.
else. We'll see what else came out in July and try to pair them with Blown Away.
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next time. Ski. Yeah. It lists him as being an uncredited SS officer at concentration camp in Schindler's List.
Chuckleheads.